Islam at a Glance is brought to you by Wholesale Building Supply. तामीराती शोबे में मयारी मटेरियल में काबिल एतबार नाम, हफ्ते के 7 दिन, न्यूयॉर्क के 5 बोरोस में क्विक डिलीवरी, होलसेल बिल्डिंग सप्लाई का दावा, कीमत कम, क्वालिटी आला। फोन नंबर 718-871-4500, 890 Coney Island Avenue, Brooklyn, New York.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillahi ahda wassalatu wassalamu man la nabiyya ba'da. Dear viewers, today our topic is Islam, business and economy. For the financial transactions that are part of this business and economy, Islam lays down some principles. So some of them, let's talk about it to start our discussion. The first thing first, which is very severely, the punishment of that, or the instruction about that sin, not to be getting involved in that, is very harsh. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala used very harsh words for such people who get into that kind of financial transactions. That is related to usury, or this is, which is now called as interest, to sugarcoat it. But this kind of transaction, the business dealings which involve interest, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves his people he has created, and he doesn't want that there is any exploitation of the people by some powerful, financially well-off people, or the institutions, or even the countries, to the poorer communities or poorer nations, or even poor people. So at all levels, this kind of dealings are not allowed in Islam. And Allah, as I said, that uses the words that whoever involved in this kind of transaction is actually at war with Allah and His Prophet. And who can win the war from Allah and His Prophet? So we need to be very clear about it. We will talk a little bit more about this topic of interest. But first, see some more things that are very important kind of pillars of Islamic economy and the way the Muslims do business, the instructions that are given to them in these areas. For example, the inheritance, the system of inheritance in Islam, the whole philosophy is that Islam is not for concentrating the wealth in some hands, but it likes it to be floating. It likes it to be moving. It is a similar concept as in capitalism. They say that if the business is going on, people are buying, there are consumers available, and the business will continue to generate jobs and production and all that. In Islam, from another way, it's not consumer-based instructions only, but it is in other areas wherever it is possible to disperse, to not allow the money to concentrate in few hands. So the inheritance, the system of inheritance, very explicitly defined in Quran and practiced by Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and further instructions are given to us through his hadith. This is an excellent example of Islam being the system in which the concentration of wealth is not encouraged. Moreover, zakat, or which is the foundation of charitable donations that we do, but this charity is a obligatory charity, but there is more to it. So for zakat, if we see in Quran, wherever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in many places is talking about salat, which is the topmost ibadah or the act of worship, always he uses zakat with it. Aqimus salata wa atuz zakat. So zakat is very, very important because it is also again related to the welfare of the needy, of the poor, taking care of various important functions of the society. So that is emphasized again and again. And as I said, that zakat is not only it's only the obligatory part of it, but the other one, which is much more encouraged. The people and Muslims are encouraged and told that in their mal or in their wealth there is a portion of the needy which is ma'lum. That means this is determined. They know that it has to be given to the needy and the poor. So it's very much encouraged, and alhamdulillah, there are certain things in Islamic cultures and Muslims that we need to appreciate. Yeah, we always criticize the things that we are lacking in. That is also very important, that we should know where we lack. But these are some good things that we have still today, that the Muslims are, in general, are very good in charitable donations. Even in the weak or poorer countries, nations, you see the per capita donations or the charitable funding that people do is very high, and it is compatible to some of the very financially advanced and stable economies. So this is one of the things that we are alhamdulillah to a good extent following, that we like to donate and we like to take care of the people, and we don't want the system, the why it is encouraged, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to have, likes a society in which there is not a big gap between the haves and have-nots. So that is there may be differences. It does not work like communism, that everyone is equal, but it does not allow also the avenues where people can be exploited, and some have a very strong position financially, and the others are in a very bad shape. So it from various angles, from zakat, from inheritance, and from not allowing the riba or interest, it encourages the society to be not far apart from, in shape of financial classes, which generate other social problems in the society. So it is a comprehensive system, Islam, and economic system is part of it. Other than that, in the business dealings, the encouragement of Prophet ﷺ through his ahadith to be fair and to be honest, it is immense. You see hadith after hadith talking about these things, ayahs of Quran talking about the honesty in the business transactions. Prophet ﷺ in a hadith which is from Tirmidhi, he says that an honest trader, he will be with the prophets and the siddiqeen and the shuhada. That means the righteous people and the martyrs and the prophets on the day of judgment. So this is how Prophet ﷺ defines a fair trader. And also he says that when you, in another hadith it says that during the business transactions, you have a lot of false talk and a lot of swearing. And in other versions of the hadith it says that the shaitan comes in this kind of talk. So he encourages the people who are selling something to add some to it as a sadaqah. And this is also something it's an amazing fact that you go, I have traveled around the Islamic world and I have seen this particular aspect is still working in the transactions on the streets and at the at the shops, that the people, if you buy something from a person, for example, you're buying some vegetable or fruits, so you will find that the person who is selling you, he may not be perfect or honest or something, but when it comes to giving you a commodity so he will always put some extra in there. Or if you are on a cloth shop, he will add a little bit of cloth that you bought to it. So these are some things that we still carry, and we need to build on these things. There are some good things available already in the Muslim society and in our traditions. Yes, we are lacking in things, as I said, but where we have some good things, we need to recognize that, and we need to build on that. We are, for example, we are known to be generous. We are known to be very, to our guests, we are very, very generous, and we feed them and all that. This is it's a general qualities that you find in the Muslim world more than other societies. So all this we need to consider, and as I said, build on that. So all these instructions are being given by Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam to the early Muslims, so that build a character in them, so they become very fair traders, honest people. That is the main revolution that he brought about in the humanity. And when these people, for example, they went to Southeast Asia, to Indonesia as traders, and then they did trade with them. So they used to go to these places even before Islam, hundreds of years, from Hadr al-Maut to Indonesia. But at that time, they were like normal traders. What the traders do, they trick the people, they deceive the people and try to make money out of them. And they were using their tricks, and the people who were buyers, they were doing their tricks, and somehow the business was going on. But then certainly they saw a change in the same traders who were coming from Arabia. They asked, what is the reason that now you tell us this is the defect in our products if you buy that, and you are fair in your pricing, and you're fair in your dealings and the money and all that? And what is the change? What has made this change about? So they said that is Islam. Islam has brought this change in the character of the Muslim businessmen. So that started the propagation of Islam in Southeast Asia, in Indonesia, where we have the biggest, Indonesia is the biggest Muslim nation today. So all Islam is spread through this kind of interaction where they are fair in their dealings. And this is the teaching of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that he told them to do the business in honesty and be trustworthy. So Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam himself, when he was known as what? As-Sadiq and Al-Amin in Makkah, even before he became prophet. So people used to trust him with their money, and leave it with him. Even when the kuffar, or the people who did not accept his message, even they continued to trust him with their money. So much so that we learned that at the time when he immigrated from left Makkah, he has to leave Ali in his place so that he can return the trusted money which people have deposited with him. So he was left behind on his bed, and then he left Medina, left for Medina, and then with the instruction to Ali to give it back to whoever it belongs. So this is how the character was built. Now coming back to, because now we talked about business, let's talk a little bit about economy and the economic system of the world. That is actually, in that system, we started with this word usury. And I said that with the sugar coating, it is now being called interest, because usury was not a very good word, so they changed it to interest. It looks little bearable, and it is interesting. So, but this interest, even today, this is like a cancer of the world. It is a cancer to the economy of the world. That's where the system is created, in which the exploitation of the weaker, financially weaker people weaker classes, financially weaker countries. It all happens through this system. And by the way, this is not only Islam, but even in the books of the other Abrahamic religions, this usury is described as a very heinous sin. And it is not that only Islam has forbidden this thing, it is forbidden in other religions as well, although they do not practice it. They practice what is now the economic system of the world which they promote. It's all based on exploitation. It's not based on what Jesus has taught or what Moses has taught to them. And it was last 200-300 years, it has become more of a disease and more of a menace to the society, that it started developing in Europe, in various nations of the Europe, where there are small traders, and most of them were Jews. They used to lend money to get, in return they used to get more money, like this usury which is called. And not only the weaker people, but even the higher classes became dependent on them to borrow money from them. And that as I said, that it destroys the social fabric as well. So that started generating some kind of hatred, and for this very reason they were driven out from many of the European countries in the last 300 years. But these institutions got established later on, and then when these institutions get established in the names of big banks, the Bank of England, and some families controlling the economy of the world. So what they do is that for their purpose, to promote their own business, which is an unfair practice from an individual level, where one has to pay $250,000 in America, for example, for a $50,000 house. Just because he doesn't have money, someone has money, and he's making and multiplying it and exploiting the people. And the money, the banks at the higher level, they are printing this money without the linkage of the gold to the money is no more there. So you can print as much money as you want, and you have manipulated the world through this false money, which has no basis, and everyone is borrowing from you. Even the countries are borrowing, and the institutions have been created who make the money available to these poorer countries, and in the end they end up paying their fortunes for that. They end up being bankrupt. The recent examples being Argentina and Greece, what happened there. And exactly opposite of that is what Islam offers. What Islam offers, the manifestation can be seen in 2009 and 10, when there was a crisis and then the economy went down. It is a report of BBC that they said that the only banks which did good in this time are the banks who were working on the Islamic economic system, which does not work on this exploiting system which we have been talking about. So in the end, to sum up, for the Muslim, what is there? They have developed in the last maybe 10-15 years or 20 years, they have developed institutions, the Muslim institutions. Even the banks are getting, because they see the performance of how these funds and what sukuk is another idea that Muslims have economic system have come up with. All this system, they see the benefits in that, and even the big banks of the world now are introducing windows for Islamic economic operations, because it works for them, because it is stable. It really means the trading in real money, not fake money, not exploitation. So this is the world is slowly going to recognize the benefits of it. And as I said, it is when you engage the people from other faiths like Judaism or Christianity, you can talk about this menace, this problem which is being created by some people who are against the religious Against, they think that the revelation has lesser value, and their intellect or their desires have more value, and they can create a system. But they end up creating a system which is a system of exploitation, and we need to engage the people, and first of all, stay away from these kind of things like interest, and be fair in your dealings, and be ready to pay your obligatory and extra charity, and the inheritance has to be. These are 3-4 things which are very important that Muslims have to take care at their individual level also, and promote these ideas and talk and engage people, because people are suffering, and they are looking for some solutions to their problems. Everybody in debt. They cannot live without this credit card and these transactions. This is all manipulation to control the people, and to just move them in a particular way. Conflicts and all that, they are all related to this financial system, because this is the system of exploitation. It has to go away if the world has to come back to the prosperous time and equally distributed happiness to the world. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المؤمنين والمؤمنات. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
Islam at a Glance was brought to you by Wholesale Building Supply. तामीराती शोबे में मयारी मटेरियल में काबिल एतबार नाम। हफ्ते के 7 दिन न्यूयॉर्क के 5 बोरोस में क्विक डिलीवरी। होलसेल बिल्डिंग सप्लाई का दावा, कीमत कम, क्वालिटी आला। फोन नंबर 718-871-4500, 890 Coney Island Avenue, Brooklyn, New York